word would you use for somebody who fakes their own death and says that they've died from cervical cancer when actually they're alive? I can think of only one word that I'd use, and the word I'd use is atrocious. Actor and model Poonam Pandey, known in the past for pulling weird publicity stunts, surpassed herself this time. A message on her Instagram post quoting her manager and her family said that at the age of 32, Poonam Pandey had died from cervical cancer. People who saw this had no reason to disbelieve it because I guess nobody imagined that anybody could stoop so low. January was Cervical Cancer Awareness Month. This weekend, we are going to be looking at World Cancer Day. And for cancer survivors like the one we're just about to speak with, what Poonam Pandey did has been hugely triggering. Today, casually, just like that, she took to the same Instagram and said, "Hey, hello everyone, I'm alive." It is not funny. There's nothing funny about cancer. There's nothing funny about those who have to battle it every single day. The trauma they feel, the suffering they go through. Not to even mention those who have lost loved ones to cancer. Each one of us has a friend, a family member, or a personal story to share when it comes to cancer. And also remember that 200 women die from cervical cancer alone in India every day. The attempt, they're now saying, was to create awareness about cervical cancer. But what has happened might actually have the opposite effect. When Poonam Pandey's death was being believed, you had people actually asking us questions. What is the HPV vaccine? How does one get one? What is cervical cancer? At what age do you need the vaccine? Now that it has all turned out to be one big, fat, elaborate hoax, people may even lose interest in this conversation. To talk about whether Poonam Pandey should face some action, some pain, some sort of punishment for what she has done, the way she has trivialized such a serious issue. Let's introduce our guests on the program today. I want to introduce Kanika Mohan Saxena. Kanika is, of course, India's second female master scuba diver. She's also someone who shows that you can have cancer and beat it. And I'm sure that she, like so many of us, is furious today. And also joining us is a well-known oncologist from Max Hospital, Dr. Mondal. Thank you so much for your time. What a disservice to the hard work that doctors actually do as well to try and create awareness. So I want to start with you, Kanika. First, what you felt when you thought that this young woman at 32 had actually died. I mean, I know that I know very little about Poonam Pandey, but I was shocked to hear the news when I believed it to be true. And then what that emotion was today when you discovered that it was fake. I'll come to your own story and your own battle with cancer in a moment. But as a cancer survivor, and I know you're not only a cancer survivor, you're many more things. And I don't mean to be reductionist about your identity, but I'm sure having a personal experience made your responses that much more deeply felt.
Thanks, Barkha. Thank you for having me here. Pleasure to chat. I normally keep away from all of this, and I'm always up for understanding people and their behavior. But uh, yesterday, I woke up very early in the AM, and somebody sent me a message saying, Poonam Pandey, and for the life of me, I did not know who Miss Pandey was, and I don't mean insult here, has passed away at the age of 32 on cervical cancer. You know, I was in my bed and I was
Yeah.
like I don't know her, but and I'm going to tell you something, Barkha. When this C word hits you and very close up personal, you literally are a part of a group, a therapy group, or a survivor group. Until then, you don't understand it. The
Yeah.
first thing when somebody sent this to me, and I was like, oh my God, this poor girl. I mean, and I don't know anything about her, but that just empathy. And I was like, I actually went back and I put it in my group of my set of support system, and I'm like, one more died, and the first thing was like, oh, will my cancer come back and I'm going to die? And I promise you, I mean, all cancer survivors live through quarter after quarter, whatever their prognosis or diagnosis is to go to the doctor. It's not fun. And that
Yeah.
was the first thing. It completely triggered me off, and I was really upset at the time. Somebody in the group deleted and said, Kanika, don't, it's not your story. But it took me that, it threw me off for 10 minutes. I get up this morning, and the next thing I see that the lady is alive. And I read through her interview saying that this is cancer awareness, and she's trying to bring awareness for people. I mean, Barkha, I'm gobsmacked, I'm shocked. I think it's absolutely insulting for those who've lost their lives, for those who struggle, for those who are in treatment and those who are in remission, and those who pass away and their families. I mean, this word itself is so loosely used, and I'm certain that there are better ways of spreading awareness in the country, right? Imagine what kind of effective and I'm telling you, I'm so angry right now. It takes a lot for me to be upset or angry. But I just took off. Even before I was going to talk to you, I told my friends, and they're like, Kanika, leave it. I'm like, somebody ought to speak. I have so many women I know who've gone through this, Barkha, and I've never spoken about this in their lives out of shame, oblique guilt, oblique what will happen, somebody's getting married, tada, tada, tada.
Hmm.
And more so later, but absolutely distasteful, disrespect to everybody.
You've taken the words out of my mouth. It's absolutely both distasteful and disrespectful. And I want you to talk a little bit about, why you thought it was so important to come and speak. As you said, you usually stay away.
I do. I've spent a long time in media, and I was diagnosed with cancer in 2021, to be precise. To cut a long story short, when I started talking about my journey, I realized there was little one knew. One moment I was flying in Bosnia skiing, and the other moment I was in India in a hospital bed being told you have cancer. And I can smile right now. I promise you, I didn't feel at that moment. My word was just, I felt that somebody took the carpet off my feet, and suddenly I realized that for somebody like me who's so strong, and I'm very open-minded, I always believe that everybody has an opinion, the world goes by. I started sharing my journey. A lot of naysayers and a lot of people were like, "Why do you share? I mean, you're a woman." And I'm like, "No, this is something which people need to know." And in my own way, Barkha, if you see my accounts and my social media, I've always tried to bring in awareness that go for your timely treatment. I'm not a doctor, of course, but from my own experiences, that go for your treatment. If you see something, rush to a doctor, get your test done. Knowing is better because then you know what you need to do. So I've been trying to spread that awareness through and through my journey, and I've shared all the time this. But when this happened, I was like, this just takes away from the entire point where, and I saw one of your pieces, I think day before yesterday, you were doing on cervical cancer and how specifically for young girls it can be a saving grace. Somebody goes in completely out of the whack, without research, without thought, without empathy, without EQ, just goes and does this because somebody in the agency was sitting and saying, "Hey, you know what, dude, this is a great idea. Let's just get some likes." And I mean, I was forced, and I was like, I can't sit silent for this,
Yeah.
because there are so many women who do not talk about this, and the reasons, if I tell you, are strange. I don't want people to empathize with me. What happens tomorrow if I'm about to get married? If my husband finds, we live in a country like India. I mean, we might want to call ourselves very modern, but a debatable topic, right? This is a taboo, and this is a piece where people are very sensitive about these information.
And
With
and
things
and
like these,
And in some ways, Kanika, before I come to Dr. Mandal, what Poonam Pandey has done is a disservice to all those women who anyway feel a taboo, who anyway feel a hesitation. Tomorrow they'll speak, nobody will believe them. They'll say, "हाँ, तुम तो झूठ बोल रहे होगे, Poonam Pandey जैसे." It has completely trivialized the trauma, the agony, the isolation, the loneliness, the gravitas, and it has also undone the awareness that was sought to be created, the budget just announced in HPV vaccine, all of that seriousness has gone out of the window. Dr. Mandal, it has undone good work done by survivors, by doctors, by the larger community. What do you feel about what's happened? I mean, how can she be allowed to get away with this? She should be barred from social media platforms. There should be legal action against her. She has knowingly told an untruth that has gone viral, knowingly. I mean, I don't think she should be allowed to keep her accounts on any of these platforms. But sorry, Dr. Mandal, go ahead.
Yeah, so very good evening, Barkha, and thank you for bringing me in to discuss this topic. So, just like Kanika told her experience, how did she come to know about this kind of same thing happened with me? Some of my known to young people, they called me up that Doctor, do I need to get the cervical vaccine? I said, what happened? Why are you so much anxious? This thing happened. So I read about the news, and then first thing which came to my mind, that usually no one dies out of cervical cancer within 2 days. She
Yeah.
posted something on social media where she was healthy, hearty, and she died of cervical cancer within 2 days. It sends a very, very wrong message to the community, to the people, and it's a misinformation. So I would say that I would use three adjectives. It is cheap, it's gross, and it's shameless.
I
You
think
are very much
those
right that,
I want to repeat those words: cheap, gross, and shameless. And I think those are good
yes.
words, and we'd all agree with them. But go ahead. Yeah.
And so if we just look at the history, how cervical cancer happens, it takes at least 10 to 15 years for cervical cancer to manifest in the body after the HPV infection sets in. Then also, it's very early stage, and that means there is every chance to get cured out of that disease. So 10 to 15 years, the cancer first manifests, which is pretty much early in the cancer pathway.
Yeah.
The person has a high chance of cure. She can live a long life, normal life. So all this misinformation just to get some publicity